the corner. Hyman without a stick. Ready to start on the pass across. Block. Leafs get it again. Matthews to center. Into the net. He scores! Holy Mackinaw! They're going to the playoffs.
Created by Die-Hard Leafs fans for Die-Hard Leafs fans. This is the Holy Mackinaw podcast with Clayton Theriault, Danny Hawtin, and Brett Wills.
Welcome everyone to the Holy Mackinaw podcast. This is our second episode of the 2021-22 season. I'm joined as usual by Bretzky and GM Hawtin. How's it going, guys? How are we feeling tonight?
Good, man. Ready to talk some Leaf hockey. That's for sure. Excited to have the season back.
You know, I'm happy to join the two of you. As you can see, I got kicked out of my house, so I'm chilling with Homer on his couch right now, and you know, I couldn't be more excited to be talking about the first week of Maple Leaf season.
Yeah, it's been an interesting start. We had a few slow starts there in the first few games. Mrazek getting injured and pulled obviously pulled because of the injury against Ottawa in game 2. But let's just focus on the first game first. We'll talk about Montreal. I found it was a bit of a slow start. The defense really wasn't doing us any favors. We were giving up a lot of rushes, but in the end, we did beat them thanks to Jack Campbell in my eyes. But I mean, it was a good game. It was a close battle. It's one of the oldest rivalries, so it's always going to be a good game in my eyes. But Danny, how did you feel about the first game there?
Well, the first game, I think we could all agree it was a pretty slow start by the boys. There was 2 point-blank chances right off the bat there in the first minute, actually in the first probably 20 seconds of the game. And you said it, Clay, Jack Campbell was bang on. He was ready to start that game. You could tell he was energized and feeding off that home crowd. My thoughts on the entire game, like it's the first game of the season. You know, there's, you know, the boys aren't, the chemistry's not fully there, even though, you know, they've gone through 2-3 weeks of training camp and they had their pre-skates before that. But, you know, now you're playing real hockey against real NHL lineups, real NHL teams, and it matters now, right? So, yeah, it was a slow start, but you know, it's first game of the season. You can kind of excuse that. Good saves by Jack Campbell right off the bat. I thought the boys settled into it after they sort of weathered that early storm. I thought it was a really good competitive game by both teams. I thought both teams had their opportunities, and Leafs squeaked out a narrow 2-1 victory over Montreal. I thought it was a great game.
What about you, Brett? How'd you feel about it?
You know, the both of you know me in real life, and you know my demeanor, and you know that I'm not apologetic, but I have to apologize to our fan base that listens to the podcast or watches the podcast, and I have to apologize to Pierre Engvall because I said that he was a guy that I would really not like having on this team, and sure enough, less than 10 minutes into the season, he proves me wrong. Pierre Engvall for Prime Minister, Pierre Engvall for MVP of the season, Pierre Engvall for Stanley Cup MVP. I'm sorry, Leafs Nation. I blew it. It will never happen again. Actually, it'll probably happen next week. So,
I mean, he was definitely on thin ice in my opinion, and he had a hell of a game. His forechecking was unbelievable. His back checking was good. I think he was one of the best players on the ice in that game. But moving forward to game 2, so Ottawa, and that was rough. It was 3-0 after one period. In my opinion, none of the goals were Mrazek's fault. I mean, one was a giveaway that turned into a one-timer. He had no chance. One was, in my opinion, and Danny agreed, I don't know if you agree, Brett, but was a kick to me. And the other one went off Tyler Ennis's shoulder pad. So I don't think you can really blame him. Bad luck too with the injury. I mean, first game as a Leaf and he gets hurt. So that just seems to be our luck. But I'll throw it over to Brett this time first. What did you think about the Ottawa game, Brett?
you know, I feel really bad for Peter Mrazek. Like first game in the regular season and he gets injured. Like, thank God it's only a couple of weeks apparently, but This guy needs to stay healthy, and he needs to play well in order for the Maple Leafs to be in contention, not only for a playoff spot, but for a Stanley Cup. So, I mean, hats off to the way he played before he got injured. I just, it's a small sample size of Peter Mrazek in a Leafs uniform. And I know when he was in Carolina, he had some injury issues, but played like a stud in Detroit as far as I'm concerned. So I'm not giving up hope, but there were some scary moments there the other night. And I looked at the TV and I just said, oh no, not again. Because it's bad enough to lose your number one. We lost our number one for a very, very long stretch last year. To lose your 1B, I guess, in a year where you think you have a 1B, it's a scary thought. Hats off to Bishop for sitting on that bench. He must be grinning from ear to ear. Like what a story. Like, I wish I was 18 years old and playing for the University of Toronto Varsity Blues as a goaltender. Like, what a just remarkable story, and congratulations to Bishop.
Definitely, that was cool. Well, we will get to that game in a minute. Brett, what did you think about the 3-2 loss there to Ottawa game 2?
You mean Danny?
Yes. What did I say?
you said Brett. That's all good.
Sorry.
Yeah. So the game against Ottawa, that game, I kind of sat there, and to be honest with you, I was a little bit pissed off watching the game. I thought, and Keefe touched on it. It wasn't necessarily a slow start, but to me, what was glaring was the amount of turnovers in the D zone. So many turnovers. I couldn't even count the number of 2-on-1s or odd man rushes that the Leafs allowed in that game to Ottawa. And yeah, it wasn't Peter Mrazek's fault. Two of the goals, one off the skate in front of the net there, and then the second goal off the shoulder, deflected in the net as well. Like, you can't fault Peter Mrazek on that. And then an unfortunate bounce. Richie and them are trying to clear the puck there towards the end of the first period, hopefully going into the breakdown only 2-0. And that's not so insurmountable, but try to clear the zone. Ottawa tries to keep it in. Obviously, there's not much time left on the clock. Tries to throw it to the net. It bounces off a Richie skate right over on the hash marks, right to the Ottawa player. Forget what player it was. They hammer it in. Unfortunate. What are you going to do? You're down 3-0, but good to be lucky to be good. The Leafs, their attention to detail, I didn't think was great. It's not that, there wasn't, a lack of effort or anything like that. It's just attention to details. You're playing an NHL team in their building, in their home opener of the season. They're excited to get going. I know it's the second half of a back-to-back, but you're down 3 goose egg after the first period. I thought in the second period, Peter Mrazek was fantastic. The Leafs had a bit of a lull there. They made a push, and what can you say about Anton Forsberg coming in relief, surprise starter? Matt Murray not able to go for the Senators. Forsberg comes in. He was unbelievable. He made 46 saves in that game. Like, the Leafs could have easily won that game. They didn't deserve to, and ultimately they didn't. But Anton Forsberg, wow, he was awesome. He was absolutely awesome. But and I'll touch on it when we talk about last night's game as well. But I give a lot of credit to the Ottawa Senators. I know it kind of pains me as a Leaf fan to say that, but I'm all about giving credit where credit's due. That team just works, man. They work hard. They don't have all the talent in the world. Like, yeah, they've got some good young players, and Stützle, and Christ, I wish we didn't give up Connor Brown. Looking at Connor Brown, what a player, what a leader, what a workhorse, right? Zach Hyman type player. But those guys just work hard, and they don't give up. They keep pushing, they keep coming, regardless of how little talent they have in their lineup. But I gotta give it to them. They deserved that game. They won that game. Goaltending helped out, but it was game 2 of 82. It was just one of those nights where it wasn't going the Leafs' way. Peter Mrazek was fantastic. Unfortunate that he came down with that injury there at the end of the second period on a great save too. But yeah, and then Jack Campbell came in, and Jack Campbell was lights out again. He's really impressive, boys.
Yeah, he's definitely living up to the hype he has right now. At least right now. Hopefully it continues, because we all love him. You can't hate the guy, even if he does end up doing badly. I don't think I will be able to dislike him. He's just such a nice guy. But yeah, moving on to game 3, which, man, that was a good game last night. We were all over them the whole game, at least from my perspective. I thought we played 60 minutes. We came out strong, which we really needed to. I mean, after game 1 and 2, I was a little worried there, but we came out guns blazing. Really good forecheck. Liljegren played really well. He actually, in my opinion, saved 2 goals in the first period. That block off the knee and the pass block right in front of the net. I'm glad he's playing well because I really like the kid. But yeah, Danny, what did you feel? How did you feel about the 3-1 victory last night?
Last night's game was a different story. You touched on it, Clay. I don't know if I could say they played a full 60, but in my opinion, they played about a 50 to 55 minute game, full effort. They were ready to go. They're back at home again. I think the fans really energized that group. They're really playing. They knew they kind of laid an egg the game before against Ottawa on Thursday night, so they wanted some redemption. They came out guns a-blazing. A lot of chances, skating hard, working hard, full compete, better attention to detail in the D zone. Not perfect. You mentioned Timothy Liljegren. He made some really good defensive plays. He saved a couple of goals. To be fair, there were a couple of opportunities where guys got behind him, and then Jack Campbell kind of bailed him out. So I want to be fair both ways, because I don't want to try and paint the picture that Timothy Liljegren is now a top 4 defenseman, and Justin Hall, when he's feeling well, he checks back in the lineup. He's not going to play top 4 minutes. No, I don't think anybody's saying that, but give credit to the kid. He played very well. He showed a glimpse of what he can offer, and he's going to push Travis Dermott. Him and Rasmus Sandin are really going to push Travis Dermott there to stay in the lineup on a nightly basis. It was a good showing for the kid. Like I said, great compete from the group. The reason why I say 50 to 55 minute effort is because there was a little lapse there. I think they got away from it. They were up 2-0 for a little while in the game. Things got away from them a little bit, and they got a little bit lucky with that offside. It was by millimeters too. When Batherson was offside, it was by like a skate blade. If not, it's 2-2. But that's why attention to detail is extremely important. I know it's only game 3 of 82. I know that, but these games all matter, right? Like, ask the Blue Jays. I know it's a different sport, but ask the Toronto Blue Jays. They lost, but they missed the playoffs by 1 game. How many games did their bullpen blow during the season when people said, it's early. It's early. That 1 game can come back to bite you at the end of the season, right? So let's keep that in mind. And I thought the boys put in a really good effort. Can't wait for tomorrow night's game. Maddie's got clearance to come back, so Austin Matthews will be in the lineup. I'm pumped for that. So then that shifts John down in the lineup. That shifts Kerfoot over to the wing, where I think he's way better. I don't like Alex Kerfoot at center ice. I feel like he's more of a defensive center iceman. He can't really play his offensive game, even though he got a goal in that game. Set up beautifully by Willie, who is playing fantastic hockey right now. But great effort last night. It was one of those games where I even gave him the applause at the end of the game in my chair at home. I love the effort. Bunting gets his first goal. Boys wanted to win that game, and they showed their compete level, and I love it. I love that.
Definitely was a great effort. Brad, over to you. How did you feel about the victory last night?
It's great, and I'm starting to wonder, and I don't really care, because I think that it's important to realize that a complete hockey team is 4 lines running solid. But I'm starting to wonder if now in this season, finally, we've got 4 lines that can roll, because we got a guy like Bunting who chips in, and that's great. And like Danny said, like Kerfoot was in the wrong spot. And that's just due to process of elimination with Matthews out of the lineup. Thank God he's coming back. I'm still a little disappointed. I know it's game 3. I'll be apologizing next week, I'm sure. But I'm really disappointed in how Tavares and how Marner are playing. but I get it. There's a hell of a lot of pressure on those two to perform. It's a lot of money. And what are we expecting them to do? Have 90 to 100 points? I think that's unrealistic. But I just, especially Marner, I don't like his demeanor already.
I expect that from Mitch Marner, Brett. I think we should all expect 90 to 100 points for Mitch Marner. He's being paid as such, but they were snake bit in that game. You know what I mean? Like, they had their opportunities. They're not. I'm going to bet. I would wager money that they're both going to break out next game. A little bit of familiarity. Like, Marner will be back with Matthews. Matthews will be ready to play in that game, and then Tavares will have more chemistry built up with William Nylander over the last few years. So. Anyway, I thought they were a little snake bit. I thought that was summed up when they had the empty netter there, and both had glorious looks at the empty net. JT hits the post, and then Marner gets his shot block, and it almost looked like it was going to loop up and go in, and then it missed the net as well, and you could hear the crowd oh and ah.
and that's fair, but what year of the experiment are we in with Mitch Marner? And he reminds me of an old teammate of mine. When I played hockey, every time he missed the net, he'd look up to the rafters. Like, what the hell is up in the rafters? The hockey puck is on the ice.
Oh, I think I'm not trying to defend Mitch Marner or anything like that, but I think he's feeling it right now, right? There was a lot of pressure on him, a lot of heat on him in the offseason. He's a human being. He heard it, right? He heard all the criticism. I know he's saying all the right things in the media, and he's, we're trying to look forward, we're trying to move forward. Sometimes you just need the puck to go in the net.
Yeah, but right? Danny, talk is cheap. Talk is cheap.
Yeah,
you are paid X amount of dollars, and you know what? Again, if our listeners are tired of hearing me chirp about Mitch Marner, you're going to hear it all season unless he gets his head out of his tush and starts putting the puck in the net, or puts the puck on a stick so the puck could go in the net. I'm tired of. I know it's game 3. I'm tired of it already.
Okay, well, next game, I almost can guarantee you he's going to have 3 points.
That's fine. That's fine. If he has 3 points, I'll start walking.
You know what? I kind of laugh because you remind me of a guy that I play fantasy sports, fantasy hockey, and it's for money. I play with a bunch of guys on Leafs Twitter as well. We organized a group, and one of the guys was frustrated with Mitch Marner 2 or 3 games into the season last year, because I think he had like 1 or 2 points over the first 2 or 3 or 4 games of the season. And he's like, anybody want Marner? And I'm like, yeah. Mitch Marner is one of the best wingers in the National Hockey League. He's an all around NHL all-star. So anyway, I traded for Mitch, and I think the guy regretted it at the end because Mitch finished in the top 10 in NHL scoring. So I even think it was top 5. Anyway, people can knock Mitch all they want. Mitch Marner, the fact of the matter is, Mitch Marner is a setup man. Mitch Marner is not a goal scorer. He can contribute from time to time. I expect 20 goals and like 70 assists from Mitch. Much like Nicholas Backstrom. Nicholas Backstrom was never a goal scorer in his career, right? Him teamed up with Ovi. He was the setup man. Ovi's the trigger man. That's our version. Matthews is the goal scorer. Marner is the playmaker. He is a magician out there. Unfortunately, at this point in his career, John Tavares is not what he once was. In saying that, like John's still a good player. He's still a very good player, but he's not Austin Matthews. I think we can all agree on that. And I know he's going to get his points. He's going to figure it out. Yes, it's a slow start. Yes, you'd like more. I want more too. I wanted the puck to go in for them in the empty net there, just to kind of get the monkey off their back, so to speak. Because you can see both guys are feeling it right now. They're both kind of looking upwards. When John was robbed by Forsberg there, what a pass by Mitch through the legs of the defense, right on John's tape. John with the beautiful backhand move, Forsberg with the huge glove save, and then he hits the post later on. They're getting their chances. Sometimes the puck just doesn't go in, and when it does, when it rains, it pours. They'll come. They're too good not to.
Fair enough, and I think honestly, one thing I've noticed is Mitch has not been knocked down this season yet. That is a plus for me. I think he's gone. He was in the gym all summer personally. Like, he used to get a freaking stiff breeze would knock the guy over. And I've seen a lot of him going into the corners this year. So I think he'll turn it around. I think it's just a slow start. But now, so this leads to our standout player of the week. And I'll go first because I really need to talk about this guy because I really do like him. I'm going to pull up his picture here. So there's Michael Bunting. He is my player of the week. I thought he was unbelievable. He's I think Keefe's description of him in the preseason as a greasy rat is definitely accurate. He's drawn, I think, 2 penalties already in 3 games, which is amazing. I mean, he's a +2, as you can see there. He's got the goal and the assist last night, his first goal as a Leaf. And as you see on the left here, Scarborough, Ontario, he's a hometown boy. So I was really happy for him to get that goal. Even if, as you see here, as a point on the power play, I just thought he was unbelievable, and he's a plus. So, I mean, you can't really complain there, but yeah, Michael Bunting is definitely my player of the week. All right. Well, moving on to Danny, who was your player of the week?
All right, boys. My player of the week. Let me share the screen here. And okay, my player of the week. And you guys know I'm still a bit of a doubter, but I give credit where credit's due. Jack Campbell to me looks fantastic. He looks confident. He looks more efficient in the net. I don't know if you guys see the same thing, but to me, he looks really poised. He looks really, really good. I am pleasantly surprised. I still need to see more before I can anoint him as a true number 1 goaltender. I need longevity. I just need time. That's all. But what a fantastic story if he can be. Wow. I'm cheering for him. I don't know how anybody couldn't cheer for him. He's a fantastic guy. He says all the right things. He sounds like a really good teammate. Most importantly, a great human being. And look at the numbers, boys. I know it's only 2 games. Well, two and a little bit games, but 0.86 goals against average, 968 save percentage. Again, small sample size, but wow, like that's quite impressive. And to me, it's not like the Leafs have played, super stellar defense right in front of them. But I am really impressed with Jack Campbell, and I just hope that for all of our sakes and the Maple Leafs' sake and Jack's sake, that he can continue to play like this and prove to everyone that he's a number 1 goalie. Like I'm cheering for him. I'm cheering for him. I'll still be a little bit skeptical, but I'm cautiously optimistic. I really like what I see. Boy, oh boy, his technique and everything is down, and his confidence is sky high.
Definitely, and I'm super proud of the guy. I think he's really taken that 11 wins in a row, the record for the Leafs goalie to start a season. I think he's really taken that and run with it, and I hope he stays healthy, knock wood, because he has had his injury problems in the past. But we love him. We love him here on the Holy Mackinaw podcast, and I think most of Leafs Nation does as well. All right, on to you, Brett. Who is your player of the week?
We're going to be going with a theme all year, I think, about me eating my words or just apologizing to our fan base and to Leafs Nation overall. I know that I dumped on this guy a lot last year. I thought he should be run out of town, but I'm very, very happy that he's in a Maple Leafs uniform. I now think that he's worth every single penny that he's been given. And so my player of the week, can you see that, boys?
Oh, I do see that.
And I'm just so embarrassed that I shit on this guy week after week after week. He's not only a great hockey player, but he's a leader on this team. He's a consummate professional, and like 4 points in 3 games, +1, 2 penalty minutes. Like, how many zeros do you see? I mean, shorthanded goals, sure. Shorthanded points, sure. Overtime goals, sure. But I mean, honestly, it blows my mind how much I can see how much he's already grown since last year.
He has improved. He has also impressed me, Brett. He has played unbelievably, and he talked about this year that he wanted to take on extra leadership role with the team, and he's shown that with his play so far. I even like him. He's competed along the sideboards too. That's what's impressed me about Willie. He's not shying away from puck battles like he used to. He used to get shoved off the puck, and he would kind of float, and he would stay on the outside on the perimeter, and that was Willie's always his knock. Like, he always has the talent. He can always skate with the puck. He's a fantastic skater, and his shot, that shot against Montreal, the second goal, the game-winning goal, what a fucking shot.
I have to be honest with both of you. I was very concerned that he was going to be taken into a coach's room either at the end of last year or beginning of this year and be told, you got to do more. And he turns into a Nazem Kadri where he decides to throw his body around with his stick high. And that was my biggest fear about him and taking on too much. But I've been pleasantly surprised.
I'm right with you. And I can't wait to see him this week with John, because when he's paired with John Tavares this week, I think it's only going to get better for Willie, because a lot of the attention is going to be on Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner. That's going to free up John and Willie's line. And Willie's looked dangerous with Alexander Kerfoot as his center in the first 3 games. How much more dangerous is he going to look with John Tavares as a center and Michael Bunting on that other wing? I can't wait to see that. It's a competitive line.
Yeah, no, and I think he can only get better. I just hope that that line is able to adapt, because you are getting better with the addition there. Unfortunately, and it's in far too many cases over the history of this league, the sport, you insert a guy like that and it all goes to hell. So I'm with you, Danny. I hope that this week shows that they can play together, and that it turns out to be a recipe in finding success.
Definitely. I love Nylander. I've always liked Nylander ever since he was a junior. I mean, I did think when he got that concussion in junior, like after we drafted him, I thought it was a nightmare waiting to happen, but he really has come into his own. And I think that $6.9 million is one of the best contracts in the league if he keeps it up. I mean, what a deal. What a deal that is. I mean, unbelievable. But we will move on to the preview of week 2, which I'm just gonna call it out. We have tomorrow night, we have the Rangers, and then Friday night we have the Sharks, and then we're on the road to Pittsburgh on Saturday, the 23rd. And just to let everybody know their records, the Rangers are 1-1. Sharks have played 1 game, they're undefeated through that 1 game, and the Penguins are 2-0-1. So, you know, the competition's going to ramp up a little bit. I think the Rangers are about equal to the Habs, but definitely better than Ottawa, at least on paper. So it'll be interesting to see. We'll go over to Danny first. What do you think of the week to come, and what are some things you hope that are going to happen?
For sure. So first and foremost, looking forward to seeing Austin Matthews in the lineup. I know he's excited to go. Matty always has big games. His first game of the season, every year he seems to score. So he's going to be pumped up. They're playing the New York Rangers at home. Like you said, the Rangers are a bit more of a competitive team, similar to the Montreal Canadiens, but a little bit more skill in the lineup than Ottawa. So they've got to tighten up a little bit defensively and watch the turnovers, or else the Rangers will make them pay. I think that's going to be a good game. San Jose on Friday night, I'm thinking that, just in my mind anyway, I'm thinking that Michael Hutchison will likely start that game. And then Jack Campbell will get the Saturday night Hockey Night in Canada game against Pittsburgh. San Jose, they're one of those teams that, you know, the Leafs should win. They still got to play well. It's an NHL team, but they should win that game. The Pittsburgh game is the toughest game of the week for me. Pittsburgh, even though they're without Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin right now in the lineup, you wouldn't know it. They've played extremely well. Jeff Carter's playing really well for them. Jake Gensel's playing well for them. a lot of their guys are just stepping it up. Their role players are stepping it up, and they're playing well. They're holding down the fort until Sid and Gino come back. And I'd look out for the Pittsburgh Penguins. I think they're the real deal. I think they're going to make another run at the Cup.
Yeah, and another honorable mention in that group is Tristan Jarry. Jarry is playing way over his head, and I really like the kid. I was hoping we would get him a few years ago when that was the rumor for backup, but I mean, I'm happy where the goaltending is now, but the guy has just stepped it up. I mean, unbelievable. I guess when Matt Murray and Fleury are your mentors there in Pittsburgh, it definitely bodes well for your career. And what about you, Brett? What do you hope to happen this week, and what are you looking forward to most?
So the 3 games this week, I'm expecting 4 points. I won't be upset if they come home with 4 points. I'm really excited to see Matthews come back. I think that he only adds to this lineup, no matter where he's placed. I don't like Michael Hutchinson, but I know that we only have him for a couple of weeks, knock on wood. But I agree with Danny. He's going to play the San Jose game. But you know what? Again, like Danny said, don't sleep on San Jose. They've got a good young team, and they also have some leadership that they're not as broken as everybody seems to think they are. Their back end, their decor, they can play with almost anybody in this league.
100%, I can agree to that. And every time I think of San Jose, I just think of the Beard Game Strong commercials with Joe Thornton and Brent Burns. It's I'm actually going to that game, so it should be. I hope it's a good game. I hope Hutchinson holds the fort, but I'm not going to hold my breath. But I think with Matthews back in the lineup, that's definitely. I agree with you too. That's what I'm looking forward to most. Is Austin Matthews is my favorite guy on the team. I mean, just absolutely amazing to watch ever since game 1, 4 games in your debut, or goals, in your debut game. It was just unbelievable. And I've loved him ever since. He's a good kid. And I hope he continues his form. Well, do you guys have anything else to add, or should we leave it there?
Just a few comments about, I see a lot of people knocking the Leafs on Twitter about, oh, it's early in the season and the Leafs are running into cap issues already. Wake up. Like, some of these media personnel, I tell you, like, they only shit on the Leafs. I swear you, they're only on Twitter to shit on the Leafs. Did they not realize that Colorado Avalanche were in a similar situation last night because of the Gabriel Landeskog suspension? They couldn't call anybody up. They had to go with a man short. The Leafs had the same thing. How many times last year did the Vegas Golden Knights have that happen to them as well due to salary cap constraints? They went with men short not on a nightly basis, but several times throughout the season. They were shorthanded on that bench. It's just, it's just the salary cap. And, I'm hopeful that in time things will change, and maybe this is an eye opener, because somebody's going to get hurt because of this, right? You're wearing guys down and you're asking extra guys to play. Anyway, hopefully we'll leave the businessmen and the PA and the leagues to kind of sort through that. But it's just frustrating when I hear the Leafs getting chewed on Twitter, and people that love to carve Kyle Dubas, and they blame it on Dubas. This happens to many teams in the NHL. This is just a factor of the salary cap. This is what happens. It's not his fault that Peter Mrazek pulled his groin. And of course, you're going to allocate every cap dollar you possibly can to make your roster better. You're here to try and compete for the Stanley Cup. You're going to maximize your roster and use every dollar effectively. What were they supposed to leave? An extra $2 million not used? That's like going without Nick Ritchie or Andre Kasha, or you know what I mean? Like, of course you're going to use that money. It's unfortunate. And, they had to call up Bishop for that one game. They signed the young kid for the one game, and what an experience for him. And then Michael Hutchinson's up now. So problem solved, and fingers crossed, hopefully everyone else remains healthy.
Well, and dare I mention the Tampa Bay Lightning, who are back-to-back Stanley Cup champions, and were both pressed against the cap both years. So, I mean, the haters can hate all they want. I mean, a lot of people don't know what they're talking about when they make fun of athletes anyway. So I'm not going to take it personally, but on behalf of Bretzky and GM Hawtin, I am your host, Clay, and thank you so much for watching. We would really appreciate if you could share this with all your friends on whatever social you would like. And thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.